here in this building, 7:30 Eastern time at the Bluder Center. Iowa State taking on North Carolina. So our two women's championships, Rebecca Lobo.
We talked about it before the end of the quarter. Connecticut has a small lineup on the floor right now. Iowa got a back screen to get Czinano into the block to take advantage of it.
Coach Bluder in that last timeout was getting on them about their unforced turnovers. 5 unforced turnovers, playing uncharacteristic. She also pointed out several players that they can drive on for UConn, plus more screening needed in their offense. Just want to get back to playing like themselves. They withstood that early nerves and flurry. Wants them to settle down.
And settling down, Holly, right now, I would like keep going to Czinano. Connecticut has a small front court on the floor right now.
They go to Warnock inside, but a quick shot and one and done.
It worked 2 possessions ago. You back screen Czinano into the block, run it again, or run a similar action. Get her a touch.
Is their size right now. That goes through the hands of Patterson to Ducharme. 5 to shoot.
This zone is bothering Connecticut right now.
They're not going to get a shot off. A tie-up.
The first possession we've seen Connecticut look a little bit unsure on the offensive end of the floor, and it's because Lisa Bluder is switching her defenses in a zone that time.
UConn gets a good look as the shot clock expires, rebounded by Clark. Clark on the run with the push and the finish. 8 points for Clark. Iowa gets a turnover, and the Hawkeyes have turned the tide here in Portland.
Gabby Marshall came into this game shooting 22% from 3. She picked a good one to bust out of that deep slump.
Second of the first half. Griffin puts it on the floor. Strong take to the basket against Clark for 2. Clark, tough shot. She makes tough shots. And she'll go to the line to try to finish off a 3-point play.
Who is the foul on? Caitlin Clark. We talked about it earlier. Her ability to get to the free throw line. What an incredible finish. She's falling, still able to get it to drop. Led the nation a season ago and free throws made.
The foul on Griffin, so that's her first. Lou Lopez-Seneschal was in the area. That was your question.
Yes.
It would have been her 3rd personal foul. Connecticut still playing without Dorka Juhas, suffered a broken thumb. She'll be reevaluated when the team gets back to Connecticut after wrapping up here today. Edwards knocked away by Czinano. Good defensive play, still UConn ball.
Great activity defensively by Iowa. Just because you're in a zone doesn't mean it's time to stand around, and they're moving and they have active hands as well.
You saw that hand taped up for Dorka Juhas with the thumb injury. Fudd trying to get it going. Well off the mark again. AZ Fudd is 0 for 5 from the floor, 0 for 4 from the 3-point line. And look at Iowa in transition for 3. Timeout called by Connecticut.
Iowa has found their groove here early in the second quarter. 13-2 so far in this quarter in favor of Iowa.
Where they can get jump shots, more charge screens, get the ball moving.
Fudd still looking as Edwards against 3 Iowa players gets the offensive rebound.
But the longer Fudd misses from the perimeter, the longer Iowa can stay in their zone as long as they can rebound out of it.
So Fudd looks for something in the mid-range game, and she gets it. Her first points of the game for Connecticut. She had missed her first 6 field goal attempts. Good defense by UConn, and here come the Huskies. Edwards handled it for a long time and fed it inside for the 2.
And when Iowa went on the run at the beginning of the quarter, they were the ones getting out in transition. They were the ones getting their early offense. Such a focus for them yesterday in their practice, getting back in defensive transition.
Griffin and Edwards into double figures for Connecticut. Fudd kicks it outside for Mule. Mule's 3 is off the mark.
Good box outs. Good box out by Warnock. Oh, did you see the separation she created? With the step back going left, Mule was right there 1 second and not the next.
13 points for Caitlin Clark. Great defense by Caitlin Clark.
It was great defense by Clark to get around the screen that Mule was trying to set, and then the cherry on top was the block.
Martin looking for another three, and she finds it. Kate Martin with her second three-pointer. Iowa is tearing up the Huskies from outside the three-point line. They are 5 for 13 on threes. UConn is 0 for 9 on three-pointers. Fudd for Griffin. Double team. She's in trouble. She gets out of trouble, but only for a split second. Good defense again from Iowa. Can they turn it into offense again?
Once again, Connecticut looking unsure. Credit that Iowa zone.
Warnock had to slam on the brakes. Back to Martin. 4.5 to go here in the first half. They switch out. Lopez Seneschal on Clark. 5 to shoot. Warnock turns, looking for another three. Czinano's got a long rebound. And a second chance here for the Hawkeyes. They have outscored Connecticut 18-6 here in the second quarter.
Great job navigating that trap.
Off balance, fading and leaning. Caught the iron.
I mean, look at the separation here. Nika Mule's right there. Step back now. She has the space she needs. Space on the other end. She fights around Mule, number one, and then with the block defensively. Just a great series by Caitlin Clark.
Iowa last year put up the points. They're showing us they can get stops on the defensive end. Holly.
Caitlin Clark didn't play with USA basketball this summer, so she had an entire summer to just work on her body and her abilities. She really focused on her footwork and agility drills. She said, I was doing an hour and a half a day, and it's really showing that step back to gain space, the defensive foot movement, those agility drills paying off right now for Caitlin Clark.
Because, there's been no criticism at all of her offensive game throughout the course of her college career. If there's any, it would be defensively and navigating her foot speed and keeping players in front of her. So certainly something that she has worked on.
Ducharme. Good find inside Aaliyah Edwards. Having a good tournament here in Portland. She's leading UConn with 12. Approaching 3 minutes to go in the first half. Phil Knight Legacy Championship game here at the Moda Center in Portland. Well, Nika Mule did all she could defensively, but Clark beats good defense. We've seen that for 3 years now.
Clark's just one of those players. You can have the best one-on-one defender on her, and sometimes it simply doesn't matter.
Conn trying to find some answers here. This is an Iowa team that has been criticized for what they've done defensively through the years, but you can't find much fault in what they've done defensively here today against Connecticut.
Caitlin Clark is just special offensively, absolutely special, and so good going to her left side with that step back again. Nika Mule is an outstanding defender, and Clark able to create the space to get that shot off.
Two-time first-team All-American, two-time Dawn Staley Award winner, and a stop for Iowa. Shot clock violation, and it will be Iowa basketball. Big day for Iowa State. They've got the women in the championship game in the Phil Knight Invitational. The men taking on UConn. Big day for Iowa State. Big game for the two Connecticut programs. That championship coming up later tonight here at the Moda Center. Kate Martin has had a really big quarter here. 8 points now for Martin.
UConn in the zone that last possession, and nobody got out to Martin.
Clark saw that pass coming all the way. Things just a little loose, a little soft for Connecticut, and Gino Auriemma's calling a timeout, and this is going to be a heated exchange in this huddle probably, because right now it's all Iowa in this second quarter with 1:52 to go.
As much as we've talked about Caitlin Clark's offense so far in this first half, it's been her defense as well. She's done that a couple of times, jumping the route. We've seen her block a shot, goes the other way for the easy two. Iowa has been really locked in on the defensive end and switching their defense. Defenses has gotten Connecticut out of a rhythm. AZ Fudd in particular, she's a player all season to me. When she doesn't have the ball in her hands, has really moved with a purpose and to get open and navigating the offensive end really well. Last few possessions to me, she also has looked out of rhythm, not quite moving with the same purpose as we've seen throughout much of the early part of the season.
1 for 7 shooting, 0 for 5 from outside the three-point line. Again, Iowa sets up in the zone here. It has frustrated Connecticut, trying to find answers, trying to find some scoring with Fudd being ice cold. So this has been a good solution. Edwards on the turnaround.
Connecticut came out running a stagger away for AZ Fudd, and she curled it, but the zone handled it really well.
UConn's got to find Kate Martin because she keeps finding the bottom of the basket.
Iowa has just been on fire from the perimeter.
4 for 8 on threes this quarter. They've stretched it out to a 9-point lead. They were down 6 after 1. Fudd picked up her dribble with Clark there defensively. Good rebound by Stuelke, the freshman. Well, right now, if you're Lisa Bluder, you got to be thrilled. You're checking some boxes here. You didn't want it to get away from you on the glass. You wanted to bring it on defense, and they have been impressive defensively.
Yeah, we asked her yesterday. She said, I want to see good execution. And wow, they've had terrific execution on both ends.
Aubrey Griffin picks up the foul. That is going to be her second personal foul. So 2 on Griffin, 2 on Lou Lopez-Seneschal. Well, we sent out a little bit of good wishes to Carolyn Peck, a nominee for the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame. We will have the class of 2023 announcement coming up at halftime with Kevin, Carolyn, and Andrea. Well, Stuelke, the freshman, bit of an Iowa heat check right there. She was 1 for 4 on the season on threes. Coming in, Ducharme finds the range.
That's huge for Connecticut, because without Seneschal in the game with foul trouble, they needed another player who could hit a 3 against this zone. And we know a season ago when she was healthy, Ducharme was very capable of that.
She had missed her first 4 3-point attempts this season. She knocks that one down. Edwards gets out on Clark. Clark, tough shot to beat the buzzer. It's off the mark, but that quarter belonged to Iowa. They outscored UConn 27-15 in that second quarter, and they are on top 41-35 here at halftime. Lisa Bluder with a little end-of-half coaching for Caitlin Clark. She's got to love what she saw. Let's hear from the Iowa head coach with Holly.
Well, Coach, you had a huddle early in that first quarter telling your team that they weren't being aggressive enough and turning the ball over too much. How did they change this game?
You know, we've been talking all week about having a warrior mentality and that focus, and we felt like those were unforced turnovers that we shouldn't be having, and so we're kind of defeating ourselves in that purpose, because you can't turn the ball over UConn. It's an automatic score.
AZ Fudd, you've done a nice job on her defensively. What's worked and what can continue?
You know, Kate has a little bit more height, and so I think that's bothering her a little bit, but just trying to be with her on every catch. She's such a phenomenal player. We just don't want to let her get hot.
Thank you so much, Coach.
Thanks, Holly.
Caitlin Clark with 17 points to lead Iowa to a 6-point lead at halftime here in the Phil Knight Legacy Championship. Back to the studio. Here's Kevin, Carolyn, and Andrea.